Morning folks, now afternoon even. So we're going to have a look at this drawing here. Alright, so this is a DEB mock paper. It's both easy and difficult at the same time. Now if you have a look at it, there's no cut cylinders in it, no curves at all. So that's what makes it easy. What makes it hard, however, is these steps and the shape of them. Alright, so we're going to see, this is the main thing I want to focus on today. How do we get these steps, particularly in the elevation? Alright, now, first things first, you can even do a little sketch on your exam paper if you like. I'm going to have my elevation, my plan beneath it, and B is going over this way, so there is my end view. Alright, we have 3 little ones sorted out there, and we can begin to do a couple of little rough numbers on them. So I know that it's 60 high, I know that it's 90 deep, 90 there, and the full width, 70 of that is 120. Okay, so those are my little dimensions. Sketch them down, that way you're not worrying about all these different bits and pieces when we get into it. So, off we go. Now we'll pop that, I'll bring that in and out as we go along, and you'll have that, copy that anyway. There's our XY line. And I've got some nice little measurements on this one here, so let's pick up on this, and it's 120 wide, so it comes over 26 to 38. There we go. Now, we know it's actually not a particularly big drawing, only 60 high, so we just go up and mark that off. Again, we can leave this construction line right across, so we know where things are going. So that there, sorry, this is sliding a small bit, that's my elevation. Okay, leave a 20mm gap. And 90. There we go. Okay, so this box here is my plan. Now, remember, you don't need to keep measuring everything. We're going to use the joys of projections. And this drawing, it's really quite a lot about projection. If you can project, this is dead easy. If you don't, it's awful. Now, there we go. And there we go. Alrighty. So, crossing up, and that is my end view. B. Okay, so a little peek of my drawing. That does seem to come up reasonably clearly and everything. And there we have it. Now, any of these drawings, I start with what makes sense. Now, often people like to kind of go into the elevation, get a feel for it. But in this case, if I look at this drawing here, elevation is going to be where the pain and suffering is. All right. The end view is actually going to be pretty straightforward because there'll be a whole lot of hidden stuff. And the plan is where the interesting thing is going to happen. All right. Now, here's where it does get a little bit tricky to see. This shape here, and I'll just highlight it in green, is what the top looks like. Okay? All the way along there. So, looking down at it, we only have to draw that funky shape. And I know it does kind of seem a bit odd as it turns, but that's just what it looks like in isometric. And you can see that's where we get the guidelines here. It's the same. Alright, and this is the kind of stuff that we want to practice in this drawing. So I'll start with the plan. Draw these two guys, see what we can figure out about the steps. It's 35 there. I just mark them off on that one because I'll need them later on anyway. There we go. So it's going from this point down to that wide, which is 10 wide at the bottom. Now, this one here, as we look down at this one, this is going to be a heavy line. Now, if you're not sure, leave it as construction for the moment and we'll tease it out later on. Okay, all the way back there, and we'll bring in a couple other heavy bits. The back is clearly going to be heavy the whole way across. And it is going to be coming down the sides here. Here we go. It's not heavy the whole way across here, okay, because the steps are set back a little bit, so we put those little 10mm bit into it. And let's see what we know about the steps. Do we know anything about the widths of them? Yeah, so we can see it here. They're 25 each, and that leaves that little gap here, okay? Now, it should really have told us kind of coming down there, but that leader line comes down here, and that leader line comes down there. So that really should be in the drawing. Anyway, now that we know where we're at, let's go and mark off these steps. So 75, here we go, there we go, and there we go. All right, and actually I'll bring it all the way over there because we'll need to move them across. Okay, that allows us to project up to the end view later on. So just construction line across and then heavy it in. And now if you weren't sure about this being a heavy line, you can go back and heavy it in. Okay, it's no big deal if you don't see it ahead of time, just to keep things all tidy. So that's actually our plan done. Okay, it's literally it's all there is in this particular drawing. We can see, does any of this kind of project up? You know, again, you can bring up your little 10mm one up into here. All right, and that actually goes up a little bit. Just go up a bit more. So this will be a heavy line the whole way across the bottom and up the sides. And I'm going to get that little square in here. Now, you didn't have to do it in this order, but again, sometimes it's just nice to begin to pop things in as you see them. Now, it does get a little bit trickier and messier as we kind of go on from this one. So, you know, what I might just do is go off and do my end view. All the time in your drawings, you want to look at doing the next easiest bit, okay? So let's bring this across. So we can see from our drawing here that our end view is really going to be just that. Okay, now there's going to be a load of hidden lines, and this is good because a few of you need a little bit of practice on your hidden lines. So shall we start by drawing that little shape there? That's not so bad. We know it's going to be heavy across the bottom. Heavy up the side. How far across here? Well, the one bit of the plan we actually forgot, if we go back and have a look at our plan, is this line here. And that tells us how far across. Okay, it's 25 down, so we've marked that off. And there it is. Okay, so now we know where that is. And it's worth keeping an eye on those little things. I wouldn't be worrying about forgetting things along the way. The key point is, can you spot them later on so you get them before the end of the drawing? So now we go across to there. Okay, that's the line there, project up and across. Equally here, it's going to come up, project across from the elevation. Here we have it. Okay, well, that's not so bad. And we know our various different steps are going to be at these points here. And here's one of the nice things, you can begin to see how the shape of the steps is going to go. All right, and if we look at our steps, we see they're 10mm high. So let's just mark that off here. Comes up to there. That's another 10, so that's 20. So we can see our step comes across here. Comes across here, meets the back, which is what it should. So up, across, up, across, up, across. Those are our steps. What do they look like? Hidden lines, of course. So we go and put those in. All right, and you're looking for, about a 5mm line gap, maybe 4mm. Nice and even. All right, so that should be all those bits in there. Now, where are we going to go next with this? Well, we got to finish up this elevation. So the hard part's here in the middle. Let's see what else we can kind of solve. First of all, I'm going to bring our steps across. So we know that's where the top of them are. See if this begins to make some sense. All right. Now, can we do anything else in this one? I wouldn't mind knowing where that point is, and that's 35 across. So there it is. And we can see that this back line here is a vertical line down the step. So we'll go in and put this in. There we go, it comes down to there. And across we go. Okay, so we're sort of getting there, and now is the final tricky little bit. What happens with these steps as we look at them? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry about trying to predict this or figure it out. We're just going to project around and solve. So let's start with the first ones. All right. Now, these two guys here, okay, this all the fronts of the steps. Okay, so as I shade in like the front of a step there, is going to be a rectangle. All right, so I can find the bottom, I can find the top. Well, where are those bits? There they are. Right there. Check that up. And there it is there. Let's send that up. We know the height. There it is. So that has to be our step. All right, don't worry too much about if it looks weird for the moment. Let's do the same with the next one. From there up. And from there up. Okay, and that's now that one there, sorry about that. And finally, up here. So once we just kind of carefully and methodically go through what we know about the steps, okay, if we can see them in one particular view, then we're sorted. Now, okay, so we're trying to think, are we kind of missing anything? Is there any extra lines? And there is, looking at this, something does seem to not be there. So we have all our steps in, and as we go through it and kind of check in on the different lines, I mean, have I got this edge in here? No, I don't, because that stops somewhere. So that's going to be this edge. Let's send that up to the top. Okay, so it's there. So I guess it kind of disappears in behind that one. But we know that this diagonal line here, which comes from the end of that one and joins that, well, that's the bit we're missing. And that's it right there. So again, with a funky line like that, find out where it starts, find out where it ends. Usually don't worry too much about the angle on it. That'll solve itself if you have the beginning and the end, and off you go. And now this is beginning to look right. I have that big kind of face there. There it is. I have the inside of the steps, goes the whole way up, all right, all the way to the back, like there. And actually this is looking quite good. So the final piece we need to do in this one is the true shape of surface A. Okay, and look, they're going to make us work for a bit. There's a little bit in this surface. Now this is a slightly annoying one because there's nowhere really to flip it out of the drawing. All right, so we're going to end up rotating this into the drawing. Okay, there's loads and loads of different ways to do it. What I'm going to do is take surface A here, and I'm going to flip it out like that. All right. Again, you could pivot at the back if you really wanted to either. There's not much in it. But I'm going to pivot from the front around like that. So, get your compass. Remember, this is the bit of the drawing you always want to be attempting. It's actually not that hard. Tons of marks in it. Doesn't take too much time. So there we go. That rotates to there. I'm going to bring in all my key parts. There we go. Which just means each of the steps. Okay. now we project up. So once we keep track of this, now I'm going to draw this in green as it comes out, okay, just to make it a little bit easier. So we find the back of it, comes up to there. All right, so that is going to be the top. Okay, so let's just bring that up again. That's there. That's the top piece down to there. So there it is. And then it's going to come across that step there until it hits this point, which is actually quite a bit over here. There we are. So that's going to come across to there. Next one's going to come down. Okay, of course, it's obviously going to come down here and then across until. So let's just check which one we're on. We've got that one, now to this one here. Across to there. Next one is going to be here. So down. See, we just got to be a little bit careful, keeping track of all your bits and pieces. Okay, that's that missing bit there, so that is, yep, it's going to be part of it. There we go. This hasn't changed at all. This line goes to where that one was, which was this one, which is there. So there it is. Let's just show you that again. The diagonal line ends at that point. All right. We drop down that point, we'll see it, there it is there. It rotated to there, so it's up there. And finally, we put the little diagonal line in here, across we go, and there it is. I'll just shade it so you can see it. It is a little bit messier than usual, mainly because it's a mock paper and they don't think these things out as carefully, but it's a nice bit of practice on a true shape to get done. All right, so there we have it. That's the end of our DB one. Nice, easy, but hard in different ways. Okay, love you to see how we got the steps. That's very important. Make sure we don't forget hidden lines. Make sure we're projecting to make life easier. And there's a good challenging true shape to work on.